This is the 15th lesson in a big series where I am teaching comprehensive lessons on the top 25 jazz standards for guitar players. There's a link to a playlist of this entire series in the description. The song we're learning today is Manha de Carnaval, also called Black Orpheus. If you're here to just learn the chords or just learn the melody or just some specific aspect of the song, we're going to cover a ton of stuff. Just use the timestamp links in the description to go to whatever section that you are looking for. Here's what we're going to cover in this lesson. First, I'll tell you about the song Manha de Carnaval and why it's worth learning. Then I'll teach you the melody clearly by demonstrating it on the guitar with notation and tab on the screen. I'll teach you both the easiest chord shapes and the most common jazz guitar chord shapes that you can use for this song, all with chord diagrams on the screen. I'll teach you the scales you can use to improvise over Manha de Carnaval, all with demonstrations, scale diagrams on the screen, everything you need, and demonstrations of improvisation. And every lesson in this series includes a unique piece of advice for how to truly internalize a jazz standard on the guitar, so I will share that. And lastly, I will give you a guitar listening recommendation for this song. You can access and download the learning resources from this whole lesson series and from my other lessons on YouTube by becoming a premium supporter of the channel. There is a link in the top of the description to join. You'll get PDFs of the chord progression, the lead sheet, the scale breakdown sheets for soloing, the scale diagrams, the chord shape diagrams, and a custom-made backing track with me comping. You'll get everything except for the melody because it's not a public domain song, but you can easily learn that from this video, and that's why I'm doing these lessons. Just use the link in the top of the description or go to soundguitarlessons.com/join to support the channel and get those extra resources. Manha de Carnaval, also known as Black Orpheus, was composed by Brazilian guitarist Luiz Bonfa with lyrics by Antonio Maria in 1959. It was written for the critically acclaimed film called Black Orpheus, which introduced bossa nova and Brazilian music to a global audience. And that's why this tune is very often referred to as Black Orpheus or theme from Black Orpheus. Manha de Carnaval has a beautiful lyrical melody that utilizes a catchy melodic sequence, and its chord progression is just asking to be played over by jazz musicians, with the harmonic motion moving diatonically through the circle of fourths, very similar to tunes like Fly Me to the Moon, All the Things You Are, and Autumn Leaves, all of which are other songs that are in this series. So it's no wonder that this tune became a jazz standard. This song is a perfect choice for expanding your repertoire beyond just swing tunes or bebop tunes while staying firmly in the world of essential jazz standards. Let's dive in and learn the melody to Manha de Carnaval. I'll play the melody with guitar tab and notation on the screen. I encourage you to practice along with this demonstration as you're working on the melody. Here it is at 115 beats per minute. So that's the melody, and this melody has a beautiful melodic sequence in it. We always want to be on the lookout for patterns in a melody. In the very first video in this series, we did Autumn Leaves, and we learned about how that is a melodic sequence or a melodic pattern that's going through a scale. So we want to study that. Ideally, if you catch one of those in a tune, study it throughout the whole key and scale. Even if it starts to sound weird and different from the song, that's okay. In this melody, we have... And after that, we go up 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down a fifth. Doo-doo. Then from here, we go up 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, down a fifth. Doo-doo. Then again, da-da-da-da, doo-doo, da-da-da-da. So absolutely beautiful. And each time it lands on any of those notes, da-da-da-da, doo-doo. This is the 5-1-1 of D minor, do-da-da, 5-1-1 of C major, da-da-da, 5-1-1 of B half diminished, da-da-da, 5 of A7. So these melodic sequences are moving through harmony in an organized fashion. It's why it is so incredibly catchy. So the thing to do to be extra studious with a song is to go, okay, can we extrapolate that? Let's see, and keep going. And I'm using the C major scale because that's what this melody is from. Or A natural minor scale, same thing. Knowing our scales so well that we can break them up like that is the ultimate goal. We don't just want to only play up and down a scale. We want to see it kind of as a map and not as a maze. So catching that little melodic sequence, then practicing it through the scale is an extra credit thing to do that will help you know your scale better, the guitar better, the fretboard better, the song better, and just to appreciate the absolute craft that this was composed with. Now I'd like to teach you the intro and outro, and sometimes used as a bridge in this song, this little melodic line that sounds like this. So in the scale of A minor, we're starting on the root, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, flat 3, 2, 1. And this is very often used in arrangements of the tune, though the main part that I played you can be considered the main melody. This is often an intro or an outro or a bridge in between improvisations or something like that. And I've heard it harmonized in many different ways. So here's a harmonization that sounds nice. That is A minor top 3 strings. And then this is going to be D minor 7. Okay, so this is D, the flat 3, the flat 7, so this shape here. Okay, so A minor, D minor, just note by itself. A minor again with a 9 on top, so that's the fret 5, 5, 7. Okay, so we got and then G major, back. So that's just a way to play it on the top 3 strings to have some harmony with it. I've heard it harmonized in that way, and I just wanted to teach you that because this is a complete tutorial of this song, and that's very much a part of this song. You don't always have to play that, your choice, but you will hear that in many versions of this. Let's take a look at the chords here. We're going to walk through it and then learn the chords with shapes on the screen for you and demonstrations. We are in the key of A minor. Key signature is no flats, no sharps. Same thing as C major, A minor. They share the same key signature. We have just minor 2-5-1s going on, which we've seen a ton in this series. You should watch at least a few other videos in this series. And these minor 2-5-1s are everywhere, and we're learning all about them and how to improvise on them and everything like that. So we have just a solid 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, and then we go back to this 1, and now we have this circle of fourths sequence that I was talking about before, where we have, you can think of it now in the key of C major if you want to, 6, 2, 5, 1. This is going up a fourth or down a fifth to D, up a fourth or down a fifth to G, up a fourth or down a fifth to C. So that just resolution, the 5-1 relationship happening over and over again, resolving. And then this is A7 flat 9 over C sharp. So the slash means that it is the lowest note there. C sharp is just the bass note. Now this can also be thought of as just C sharp diminished. Well, a C sharp diminished is a rootless A7 flat 9. If you take a C sharp diminished and you just add an A in the bass, you have A7 flat 9. If you take an A7 flat 9 and you take away the A, you have just the notes of C sharp diminished. So I like to think of it as A7, but some people will think of it just as C sharp diminished because it's going up from the C sharp to D here. It is pointing to, that's the language I like to use, it is pointing to this, and it's wanting to resolve to that. Now right here is where that melodic sequence starts that I just taught you. So it's starting right there and moving all the way through to here. Now we have more of our circle of fourths motion. We have 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 5 of 6, 6. So it's really moving through the whole thing, much like Fly Me to the Moon does, like I mentioned, and that's in this series as well. So we have 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, but really, of course, we're thinking of this now as a minor 2, 5, 1 back to A, minor 2, 5, 1 back to A, minor 2, 5, 1 back to A. And then this is one of those moments in almost all of these tunes, we have a moment that feels like an identifying moment harmonically or melodically, and usually both. Melodically, obviously, it's identifying as the melody of the song, but harmonically, there are these moments that are not typical harmonic functions. Whereas if you just heard this chord progression, it could be any number of thousands of tunes. This 2, 5, 1, 4, 6, then minor 2, 5, 1. Could be so many things. And that is what's happening in like Autumn Leaves, right? But this moment here where we're going to the E, which is the 5 of the key, but it's half diminished. And now we're going minor 2, 5, 1 to D minor. That right there, especially with the melody note, sounds so absolutely like this moment in this song. So it's nice to kind of identify those and hear them, latch onto them. So when you hear someone playing the chords, you can know where you are in the form. So we have a minor 2, 5, 1 to D minor. And then this is really fun because of the slash chords here. You have the bass movement is wanting to do something melodically here, and we want to honor that. So we have D down to C, then B and E, and then A down to G, and this is where it really moves. A down to G to F, and that's like a whole step down to another whole step, and it just feels like it is adding melody into the bass. So even if the bass player is playing, I often will play voicings that adhere to those slash chords there. So D minor, triad, D minor 7 with the 7 in the bass, or D minor with C in the bass, and then our minor 2, 5, 1, and then this is a triad, and then G in the bass, then F in the bass. Really fun stuff to work out the voicings of. But other than that, it's all really diatonic in A minor, except for this little key change right here, and except for the fact that, of course, the dominant 7 chord E7 is always changing the scale a little bit, and we'll talk about that again in a second, to become the harmonic minor scale that leads to here. We need to know that for improvising. Talked about it a bunch in the series. So just a walkthrough of the chords like I always like to do. Let's learn them on the guitar. Now I'll play you 2 different versions of the chord shapes for this tune. I'll play each chord once, each time a chord changes, and I'll show you the chord shape diagrams on the screen. I encourage you to practice along with these demonstrations as you're working on getting the chords down. First, I'll play you the chords using the simplest chord shapes possible. These are often called shell voicings, and they are widely used in jazz. Here is that demonstration at 115 beats per minute. Now I will play you the more common jazz guitar chord shapes through this progression. These have an extra note in them and they fill out the sound a little more. This demonstration is also at 115 beats per minute. First, I'll show you two different options for the scales you need to be able to improvise and solo over Manha de Carnaval. I will demonstrate and show diagrams of all the scales in one specific overlapping position on the fretboard. And before I show you that, let's do an overview of my scales sheet that shows exactly what scales all the chords come from. So here's our scale sheet that shows us what every chord comes from. We have this natural minor, harmonic minor, natural minor, harmonic minor. This is what we're seeing over and over again on minor key standards that have a tonic 1 minor chord and then minor 2, 5, back to it, back and forth. It's happening on so many tunes. Yeah, it's a lot of switching, but really this scale is one note different from this scale, only one note different. And yes, you have to practice it feeling like this big change in this different collection of notes, but as you do that more and eventually you don't have to think about it at all, you're just going to hear that one note different being there and wanting to resolve to here. So that will happen, and just go through the clunky phase of feeling like you're switching until your ear starts to catch on and hear it. This is all A natural minor or just C major, either one, same collection of notes. This is a chord that is coming from D harmonic minor, targeting D minor. This becomes the 2 of C major. Again, you can think of all this as the collection of notes of C major or A natural minor, either way. Yes, that chord is from A harmonic minor, so that's just doing more of that, as we've seen. A natural minor, harmonic minor, A natural minor. And then we have this 2-5 in D going to D minor, so it's D harmonic minor again. We played that up here, and then D natural or A natural minor. This is the 4 chord of the key, so it's not going to the key of D minor, it's going to the 4 chord of the parent key. And then this really fun section here, but it's still just more of our tonic natural minor and then our harmonic minor just happening back and forth there. So pretty straightforward. You can see I say, natural minor, and then below it says same as C major. So either way you want to think of that. So let's do it on the guitar. So here's A natural minor. I do everything in the 5th position until I master all my scales, arpeggios, connections, melodies there. Then I branch out from there, and if I do that, then I've played all the physical shapes that I need to play anywhere. So here's A harmonic minor. I'm just demonstrating at that speed. Do it nice and slow as you need to learn these things. Everybody needs to do that. So don't rush it and speed up later when you're ready to. So here is C major, same collection of notes. Same collection of notes as A natural minor, like I've been saying. And then we have D harmonic minor. So not the most scale options of any tune. We've had many more on other tunes. So let's look into improvising with it. I will demonstrate improvising through the progression with those scale forms in this position right here. And I will do my best to just stick to just using those scales just to show that that can work as an improvisation method. Yes, you want to work on your sound. You want to work on targeting chord tones and outlining chord tones, but it's nice to learn about the scale source that the chords actually come from and work on playing melodies with those. So here's a demonstration of that. All right, ready for this? Here is the simplified scale sheet. And this is how we can see the bigger picture of harmony, scales, note selection, that everything is coming from. Yeah, it takes more than just having a note selection that you know works vaguely to sound the way you want to, but it's an amazing starting point. And the challenge here that I want us all to have is, can we play something lyrical and interesting that we like with the collection of notes that is C major in this case, or A natural minor, either one, same collection of notes. That for the most part, all of these come from. This is that one chord that has the one note different that turns it harmonic minor. So you can just skate over that. You can either avoid that one note or just let it be different, and that's okay. You can still play melodic lyrical stuff. So all of this can be from C major scale or A natural minor scale, until here where we have those two measures that go D harmonic minor really, really clearly. And the rest can be C major. Isn't that cool? Isn't that crazy? So if we can't play something, it's okay to want more, want different. But if you can't play something that works, that you feel like a little bit drawn to, like you can do something lyrical, catchy, nice phrasing, nice, something rhythmic that feels right to you, break up the notes a little bit, melodic patterns, stuff like that, something, then the answer, if you can't do that, then the answer to sound better is not going to be more complexity, more notes, more crazy stuff, more licks or whatever, right? So that's kind of one of my core philosophies. Can we break it down to the simplest possible thing? And the simple scale sheet that I like to create for this series, and that I like to think in big, huge ideas. Oh, can I just play some natural minor idea through this whole thing that's while the chords move under you? Yes, we're ignoring that one kind of chromatic change there. Yes, we're ignoring this chromatic change here and just thinking natural minor or just C major. So let's see how it works. I've been doing this through the whole series, and our biggest goal should be to just be able to play through the song and add all the craziness later after we can confidently do that. So I'll demonstrate now improvising with just the simple scales, which is all A natural minor or C major, except for right there. Let's see how it sounds. Here's my internalization tip for this video. This is something I'm doing in every video in this series. These are tips that you can apply to any standard or any song to really increase your overall musical fitness, your musicianship, and just become a better musician. In this one, I want to recommend that you play the chords through the progression in every key through the circle of fourths, which was one of my tips from before. So that's an amazing thing to be able to do, but this time you want to sing the melody along with it. So you're playing the chords, you're singing the melody, and then you're doing that through the circle of fourths, just every key that exists. You're doing that through all the keys. Doesn't matter where you're playing on the guitar in this case. You're just playing the correct chord at the correct time, singing the correct note at the right time. Doesn't have to be the best singing in the world, but just kind of locking into feeling like you know what the melody is supposed to be there in the right chord. This alone, if you did none of my other internalization tips, you just did this on a song, you will feel yourself in real time becoming a better musician. This will truly embed the sound of the harmony and the melody, the way it sits on this, in whatever song you're doing this on. It'll just get into your system. So that's the point of these internalization tips. It's going beyond just memorizing what fret do I play to be able to play something. You want to have it inside you and truly know it. Capital K, know it. And that is what I recommend for this lesson, and more to come later in the series. I'll give you my Manha de Carnaval guitar listening recommendation in 1 second, but first, you can access and download the learning resources from this whole lesson series and from other lessons on my YouTube channel by becoming a premium supporter. You'll get PDFs of the chord progression, lead sheet, the scale breakdown sheets for soloing, the scale diagrams, the chord shape diagrams, and a custom-made backing track with me comping. You'll get everything except for the melody sheet music and tabs for the melody itself, because this is not in the public domain, this particular song, but you can easily learn the melody from the video. That's why I made sure to put the tabs on the screen for you, make it really easy for you to play along. Some of the tunes in this series are public domain. In that case, I'll of course provide the melodies as well. Just use the link in the top of the description to join my weekly lesson resource membership and support the channel and get all of those extra resources for my weekly lessons, or go to soundguitarlessons.com/join. If you want a listening recommendation for Manha de Carnaval, specifically a guitar listening recommendation, I recommend Luis Bonfa himself, the composer of this song. There's a beautiful rendition of it on his album called Solo in Rio 1959. And it's just great to listen to the actual composer of the tune, so go straight to the source. So that is the one that I recommend. There's a link to a playlist of all of my listening recommendations for this series in the description. Make sure you listen to that or some other version that you love and listen to it on repeat. Listen to it a bunch, embed it in yourself. It'll help with your practicing and your playing when you are truly trying to know and learn a standard or any piece of music. And make sure you are subscribed, because I can't wait to see you in my next lesson in this series, where we are going to do song number 16 of the top 25 jazz standards for guitar players, and that is going to be What Is This Thing Called Love? Hit that like button and leave a comment to let me know if you liked this lesson. It really makes a difference, and it helps more people find the videos and learn more about the guitar and becoming the musician that they want to become. Check out the description for all the links I've mentioned and for how you can support the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy practicing.